ArTechník podcast number 21 for August 12th, 2012.
Comedy gold.
Now they're just confused as they try and hear us through the theme song.
There's a theme song?
There's a theme song sometimes.
Oh. I always forget because I don't hear it. Probably creating wonderful dissonance right now.
Yeah.
When it's actually playing. Or can you hear it?
No, it's not. No. Through the magic of podcast.
Kakunka.
Kukunka.
That could be our go-to magic word. I want magic words in this podcast about technology.
That makes a
Kukunka.
certain amount of sense.
Yeah.
Not a great deal, but a certain amount.
I'm fulfilling my role
Makes a particular kind of sense.
as resident shaman of this podcast.
High
You would
priest
be
of
an
the
amazing
podcast.
shaman.
Oh, I would. I would rock that headdress and tell stories like
Loincloth.
nobody's business. Make potions.
Like whose business?
Nobody's. Kakunga.
Kukunga.
Welcome to the show, everybody. If this is your first time joining us, I am Jeff. I am an actor and other things, and I do stuff.
My name's Adam. I am a teacher, an actor, and other things as well.
I'm Aaron, and I am an actor.
We're three very different and exciting people.
You'd never know by introductions. Ha! I said teacher. I led with teacher.
Yeah. I was trying to come up with something unique. but-
Puppeteer.
Puppeteer.
Dreamer.
I lead with my forehead. I learned
Well, I
that in
thought-
acting class.
You know, for the podcast, Jeff, you are our tech side, and Adam's our art side, and I'm sort of
Yeah, what do you do?
the middle compromising provocateur.
He's the one that makes sense of the technobabble you ramble and the
I'm the
incomplete
translator.
thoughts that I spit out.
So I get all the Star Trek engineering speeches.
Yes.
Like we've got to reroute power to the EPS conduits. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Adam makes the clever metaphor to explain it to the layman.
Yep.
That's right.
If we sour the milk.
Oi.
Wow, we're digressing quick. So, news and updates and what's going on with everybody.
Well, last week I was in Virginia. I don't remember if I said that in last week's podcast that I was going to, but I was in Virginia last week to help my brother and mother move into a new place. They are living together with Kayla, who is one of our listeners. She listens to every podcast.
Hey, Kayla.
Yep, hey.
Hello.
And so I was helping them move into their new place. And so on Saturday, after we had moved the bulk of it in on Friday, Mom and Kayla kind of wanted to settle and do things. So my brother and I went to Busch Gardens
Yeah.
in Williamsburg. It was incredible. I had such a blast. I hadn't been to an amusement park in years, absolute years. But there's a story, Aaron, that I've been holding off telling you because I wanted to do it on the podcast.
Live.
So this is a conversation that my brother and I had while we were at the park.
All right.
So when we go in, I'm asking, okay, what's our game plan for the day? Because I want to, ride everything I can ride and, see everything we can see. And so we were trying to come up with a plan for the day. And we walk by this one show, and it's a pirate adventure. It's a 3D pirate adventure. And my brother says, "Oh, we've got to go see this. It's a 3D pirate thing, and they do stuff like shoot the audience with water and all that stuff. And it stars like some celebrities. It's this pirate adventure starring Liam Neeson." and I paused.
Where's my treasure?
And I paused for a moment and said, "Wait a second, Liam Neeson?" And my brother goes, "Wait, no, who do I mean?" And I said, "Do you mean Leslie Nielsen?" And he goes, "Yeah. God, why do I always get those two confused?" And then there was this long, awkward pause between my brother and I looked at him and said, "Have we had this conversation before?" And then all of a sudden it hit me. I'd had that exact conversation
me.
with Aaron.
Yeah.
Probably about a year earlier.
I was in Luxor, Las Vegas, and I saw this 3D pirate adventure starring Liam Neeson. I was like, that's totally worth checking out. And then it started, and it was very slapstick and strange. And I was like, they really got Liam Neeson to do this? And then they said, oh, the captain's coming, and the door swung open, and it was Leslie Nielsen. I was like, oh, this makes so much more sense.
So it's the same attraction?
Yes,
Yeah,
it was the
Okay.
exact same movie. I don't know if Busch Gardens, I don't know if that same company owns the Luxor, or if they bought it from them, or I don't know what.
Possibly.
But yeah, you go into a theater, you put on 3D glasses. There's the typical,
There's a water gun in the seat in front of you
yeah,
and things like that.
flies through. They're in a cave with bats, and so air hits you from the back of the seat, like when the bats are flying at you.
Big fans.
And
on
then
the
you
ceiling.
stand up in the middle of them with your lantern as they surround you and you face your fear
That's right. And I am born.
to some dramatic music.
And then Leslie Nielsen falls over and his pants split open.
Yeah. What if Leslie Nielsen had played the character from from Batman Begins, the Ra's al
Ra's
Ghul character? Yeah.
That would have been a very.
But all the lines are the same. Everything is the same.
Just a
Except
different
it's-
actor presenting.
It's Leslie Nielsen.
I would be interested in seeing that.
I wonder, could he? I'm sure he could. Would
Yeah.
he step up to a role like that in the way?
But you go back and look at his early career, and it was all very serious, dramatic, strong leading man types.
Which is why it became funny to see him start
Right.
doing the parody
Right.
stuff, but then he moved on to do it
Yeah.
full time.
Yep.
Interesting.
Probably more fun.
I always find it to be more fun to fall down than to sob over the death of my child. The other thing in the Luxor, they had a motion sim ride, and there were like 3 different. It was all the same ride, but you could pick which movie you wanted to see on it. And I geeked out, and they had the reboot the ride from the cartoon show.
Oh my God.
And I had read that this motion capture ride existed, or motion sim ride existed, but I didn't know that there was one in the casino I was at. And so I geek out. Now, first of all, like this little part of the promenade that we were in was totally unused. I mean, like we were one of 10 people in the Pirates thing, and it was my brother and I on the motion simulator ride. And the fact that I wanted to do the reboot track, just like they had to like go to the back room,
And
get the
find it.
cartridge out of the warehouse, blow in the little Nintendo and stick it in and run the ride that way. But they were just baffled that I was so excited because it was 5-10 years old at the point that I wanted to do it. And they, it didn't cost them anything extra to
Yeah.
have this third track available, but nobody ever wanted it as the primary ride. They were like, oh, we'll also do the reboot ride. So that was great.
I to think outside the box.
Yeah.
Or back inside the old box. How's that go?
I'm not sure where we're going anymore.
Well,
But I do like that we're podcasting in the new studio room.
we are.
It's our first
We are
one.
in Polar Studios officially.
We
Yeah.
are surrounded by lush purples
That's true.
and Christmas lights.
70s red wallpaper,
Yeah, yeah.
which is kind of awesome.
An old piano that could explode at any moment and
Any
kill us.
moment.
Oh my gosh.
Did you paint around that, or did you move?
I painted around
painted
that.
around
There's
it.
this thing that we've learned recently that if a piano has, say, a crack in the frame, in the wooden frame, and you want to, I don't know, tune it or move it.
Yeah.
But we learned this from wanting to tune it.
The strings have what? 10,000 pounds of pressure.
Something like that. There's an insane amount of
I think
Tension.
the one that they talked about, the Springer, because that's how we first learned about this.
whatever. Oops.
Sorry.
There's a time bomb.
Okay. Yeah.
There.
I think the guy said like 50,000 pounds. Oh, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
but-
so now I have this. Since I found out that little bit of information, I'm terrified of being anywhere near old pianos.
Yes.
They will explode at any moment.
Because they could take out a wall.
That's what they said.
It reminds me, there was this major cherry orchard production. And the designer had this amazing concept. They were like, we're going to have these basically flats made up of bungee cords. And so, we're going to make a 2x4 and a 2x4 and connect them with like 20 bungee cords with a couple of inches in between each bungee cord and then pull them taut. and then do all of these projections and light images so that as it catches the various bungee cords across the stage, you'll see parts of the image appear. But by the time it gets through all of them, you'll see the whole image, but it'll be separated and spaced out. And they started building it, and it wasn't until it was substantially into construction that they realized how much pressure they were going to be putting on the ceiling and floor with all of these bungee cords pulling them towards each other. And they basically had to retrofit the theater with more superstructure to support this bungee cord set. Because, I mean, there were like hundreds of them all pulling in the same direction.
Wow.
Wow. And rather than just say, well, we're not going to work that design
Make it
element.
string instead of bungee. I don't
Right,
know.
right.
Wow.
The lengths one will go for artistic vision.
So, the topic for today.
Yeah, we have quite a topical
Yeah. This one.
appointment
This one.
debate. Sorry.
This one was one that I was curious in looking into, and here's why. Only because currently I am in the process of looking into getting a smartphone.
Or as we like to call them, space phones.
Space phone.
I think I picked that up from Helen.
Yeah. Helen.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a Helen word.
Hi, Helen.
Hey, another listener. And so I have been debating for a long time. And while I was up in Virginia, we did the thing where all of us have merged together onto one common plan because it's extremely economical.
Yeah.
And so now I'm in the process of actually looking to see what smartphone I'm going to get. And all this is in the process of currently Apple and Samsung are in court fighting it out right now. I heard.
What?
Yes. Talking about designs on their phones. Patent law is involved, as well as like research and development and
Common sense.
things that seem obvious.
How to be nice to people.
Right. And so all of these, it was spending a lot of time in the car over the last week driving from here to Virginia. I heard a lot of little pieces and blurbs about it on the news, and I've been following some things too. And so I just thought this would be an interesting thing for us to talk about because it is, of course, very tech heavy when you're talking about the technology that makes these space phones work. And the whole crux of their argument, of their court case, is on the design patents. I mean, there's other things there too, but the one that everyone seems to be focusing on and the core of Samsung's defense is on these design patents and what makes.
I like to distill it down to the question of how much can you copyright a rectangle?
Yes.
Because that seems to be what a lot of it is when you come down to design patents, at least on the hardware end of it, which is different than the software end. But this is a big thing, and I'm not really even sure where to begin with this.
Well, let's just start and talk about what the court case is.
Okay. Take it away, Adam.
All right. Let's see here. So this trial is Apple is currently suing Samsung, and they are alleging that Samsung has knocked off many features of the iPhone and iPad, and Apple is suing them for, I think, $2.5 billion in damages.
With a B.
With a B. And a court order that would forbid Samsung from selling some of its more popular phones and tablets here in the United States. Samsung claims that, well, part of their defense was that Apple is the one stealing and that some of Apple's patents are really invalid because they are so commonplace, being how can you patent a rectangle?
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
So that's where we start.
So Samsung and Apple have been fighting it out for a long time, and it's similar to the way HTC and Apple have been fighting it out for a long time. HTC and Apple ran into a dispute where Apple was basically saying the way you manage photos, software-wise, is a violation of our patent. And it was one of those things that the judge ended up ruling that this is such a straightforward kind of, there aren't many other ways to do this, that you lose this one, Apple and HTC. wins this one.
I think that's one of the big things for me is that if you look at the list of the various patents, it's like we patent the idea that photos can be on a phone.
Or like slide to unlock,
Slide to unlock.
which Samsung and Apple are fighting over, I think, right now. That's one of the design features.
That is one of
That
them, yeah.
moving an icon on a predetermined path is a
And that's like almost right what the patent says, isn't it? Like
Yeah.
in the illustrations and everything. And
Yeah.
it's like a thing. It strikes me that like the thing that you can just think of in your backyard, if you can file a patent fast enough for it.
And they are apparently working on an update that takes out the predetermined path conditional so that moving an icon in any direction, no matter what, to unlock a phone is ours.
Oh, so not just the left to right, but
Period. If you move an icon to unlock the phone, you are in violation of our patent, is what they're currently trying
what
to
Apple's
lock
trying to
down.
say?
Yeah. So their current one, but it's the vaguety of the sort of babyish dibs mentality of not only is this something innovative, it's just we coin it 1st.
But, and I think I'm going to have to start, so this is interesting, start taking the other side on this, even though
Right.
clearly I agree this is ridiculously absurd. But to play the other side of it, there's so much money behind the dibs.
Yeah.
And a company's primary responsibility is to its shareholders and is to make money, and that is their thing. And unfortunately, I think it's going to hurt the consumer in the long run. But that's, I don't know. I don't think that.
hurting
I don't
how?
think
You think
hurting it because, for example, there's one item in the patent that talks about the iPhone UI's rubber banding. I don't know if you read anything about that, but there's this thing where if you have an iPhone and against patent law, according to Apple, some other devices where if you scroll down and you hit the bottom and it kind of bounces, right? To sort of it's part of
To
their
indicate
you know
that
you're
you've
at the
gotten
end.
to the end.
Yeah.
yeah, it's part of their momentum-based scrolling that they've integrated into their desktop operating system as well. It's a whole thing that they're doing for feedback, so that things feel natural. Whatever. I didn't realize that you could patent that, but they did, and they're saying that that Samsung went in and used violated their patents by putting a similar rubber banding style technology in, and there's Samsung I think is trying to argue that we could do that without violating your patents, and it might become that basically. Companies have to, if they want to emulate features on other devices, have to find a way to do it that doesn't violate the patents, and sometimes that won't be possible. And what that means is, for example, what that means is degraded experience for someone down the line, right? Or they've got to pay up.
Right.
So if you have, for example, Samsung has a patent on music playback while doing something else, while multitasking. They also have a patent on attaching photos and sending them from an email or a message of some sort to a mobile device, right? So a simple act of sharing a photo from my phone could be, or listening to music while I'm doing something else on my phone, could be disallowed. Because according to Samsung, they own those patents and they can't do it. And other interface and multi-touch, where you can put more than one finger on your device and pinch to zoom in on a photo and things like that, could be taken away from Samsung and other Android devices because Apple has a patent on multi-touch. So therefore, the sum is that everyone is getting a kind of a crappy, less useful device, and we're thrown back to a much earlier period of phone technology, or everyone pays up, which means the customers are going to, who are they going to pass that price on to?
Right.
The customers.
Right.
Apple's paying like 50 cents or something per unit for the ability to enable 3G connectivity on phones, which is a patent I think that Samsung owns.
Right.
And Samsung says you really should be paying us like $15.
Yeah.
And things like that.
That's actually part of their countersuit against Apple is while Apple's argument is largely about design and interface, Samsung has a more legitimate argument because theirs is about actual utility
Technology. Yeah. And it seems very like in their universe, like Apple being about the aesthetics and the look of the hardware and the way you interact with it, versus Samsung, a hardcore technology.
Here's the actual thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, you'd think it would just be the reasonable solution is like, all right, you can play music while texting, and we can be a rectangle.
Right. Yeah. But
But I mean, as an artist, I find the design elements really important, and as a user, like that's part of the whole reason I ever went. I mean, I'm a huge. We all know this. I'm a huge Apple fan. I'm a huge fan of good UI in general. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm excited in some of the stuff that Microsoft is doing right now and things like that. I do think it's kind of crappy that
Taking it to an unreasonable extreme.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Adam's trying to say something. Sorry.
well, no, I was just going to say a lot of the articles that I had been reading, they said, or their analysis was that they think this is probably going to drag on for a little bit, and the end result will probably not be, at least they believe the federal judge that's in charge of sorting all this out, federal judge Coe, she is, in the end, probably going to dismiss most of the charges, and what the end result will probably be is a lot of cross-licensing. They said generally that's what happens. It just happens this is one of the biggest patent cases ever. Like $2.5 billion is a ridiculous
I mean, and
amount.
it could change everything for
Right.
every kind of device down the road.
Well, they said depending upon even how she rules on it, it'll change the way they decide to interpret a lot of the patent law. Which, if we can go back and begin to talk about patent law a little bit, is some people think really what's at the core of this argument that the U.S. system they said needs to be reformed, only because what were some of the numbers in terms of how many they see? Let's see here. The backlog of the U.S. Patent and Trademark Office is around 1.2 million, and that was back in 2010. 1.2 million patents that they have yet to officially go through and approve and license. And they said the normal delay for patent approval from submission to when they approve it is about 3 years, but typically it's more like 7 to 10 years before something goes through. And we were talking about earlier kind of jumping on the bandwagon, sort of patenting every last little detail about whatever it is you are creating.
Including random thoughts about what you might want in the future, possibly, and we're going to go ahead and claim the idea even though we haven't figured it out.
Which Apple's done a lot of, which a lot of other companies and individuals even have done a lot of. They're basically patent squatting. It's kind of like you would squat domain names, hoping that someone else will pay up. And people do.
Right.
If we ever figure out how to teleport matter across space, I have dibs on that because I thought of it and wrote it down.
Right.
Well, that's the crucial part. Yeah, I managed to mail it in too.
But even that aspect, the whole mailing it in, and that's all changed as well as of, I think, this year is what I found. They said typically in the past that whole, I wrote it down first, whoever came up with the idea first got to be listed as inventor on the patent. They got to lay claim to the patent even if they weren't the first person to file. However, the law changed last year in 2011 that it no longer goes to whoever can claim first inventor on it, but who actually filed first. And that they said that law will completely go into effect by 2013, which, again, tends to favor the larger corporations that have a large legal department and have a lot of money behind them to leverage these kinds of things where they can kind of blanketly patent everything and just hold on to it and wait until those little guys that maybe did come up with it first or maybe found a better way to do it, they can let it play out in court until they secure that patent and own that technology.
So you're looking at like an Edison Tesla kind of situation, like where Edison's got a big company and he's, other people are doing the actual work and the inventing and he's filing all of the...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, the law changed just last year to, it now goes to first filer as opposed to...
Proof of first conception.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap.
I know.
And yet then sometimes you see some of these devices, like I saw a picture of one Samsung phone and it looks exactly, well, as close as they could possibly get to like an iPhone. And it makes me think of when you see like the Chinese imports that are, just like a Walkman back in the day, or just like, and they're, or like the Kobe brand of products. Kobe does a lot of stuff that looks like a Sony or looks like a Apple.
But I was talking about that. We were looking, as Adam was looking for phones, we talked about going to shops to, view possible options. And I'm like, well, do they have the live models or do they have the dummies? Because you try and shop for a phone these days, and everything's a soft button instead of actual hardware. How many options of what the phone can look like are there really when there's a solid back and a touchscreen front? You can change the ratio of the rectangle. You can change the depth of the rectangle. You could clip the corners and make it sort of like a really wide octagon. But functionally, I mean, your ear is here and your mouth is here. How many shapes?
Can you show us that again?
Yes, your ear is here and your mouth is here.
Did you guys see that?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll post something, I don't know, an instructional video.
We'll post a link to a mirror.
Turn your screen off and no, but seriously, how many shapes functionally can you hold in your hand, put in your pocket, and get close enough to your ear and your mouth to act as a telephone?
A banana.
But that's an interesting, you're talking about is function, and they're saying you can't patent function. But there's a weird sort of...
But you can patent form?
Yes. But that's the weird thing is they said sometimes there's a weird sort of crossover effect as new things are introduced. One example that one of the articles I stumbled across, it said, for example, when automobiles first came about, they were open air. You see the old pictures of the goggles and people had cool little mustaches like I do. And they're driving along in an open top car. I just wanted to work in the mustache. And boop, boop. And so
a motor car.
Thank you, Mr. Toads.
And so at some point, somebody put a hard top on it. And as they sort of revolutionized the design of what a car was, there was probably a patent that was put on it. However, over time, having a hard top on a car just became part of the overall function of what you needed a car to do.
As the speeds increased.
Right. And so you can't patent function. But again, sometimes as the technologies and the designs are developing, it's a weird crossover. And I think that's kind of the heart of Apple's argument, is they're saying that nobody was thinking about using a phone in the way we use the smartphones now, where it combines, telecommunication and computing and all that stuff all in one little mobile handheld device. And so Apple is kind of saying, we did that first, and now everybody's copying it. And part of that is tied up in their trade dress and the look of what the look of what the hardware and the actual phone looks like. They said it's all tied in. So.
And they do have some amount of claim. I mean, two-finger touch, multi-touch, pinch and spread and stuff had not been thought of. And it seems very, of course that's how you would zoom in on a picture now, but it wasn't before it was.
And he announced, I remember at the iPhone keynote in 2007, he says, he talks about, we've got this thing and it's called multi-touch and this is what it does and this is what it does. And I remember using smartphones and PDAs before then that, it's a one-touch non-capacitive thing, it was anyway,
Palm Pilot style.
Yeah, instead of the electricity going through your fingers and whatever. I'm sure those were around as well, but anyway. But he's like, multi-touch and this, and boy, have we patented it. And they're aware right then, this is an amazing thing and we're going to lay claim to it. And so to me, I feel like they are just saying, hey, remember, no, we said this was our thing. And yeah, I know multi-touch hasn't come into question as much maybe recently, or is it? Or am I confusing with HTC? There's so many of them. I just get so mixed up sometimes.
Right, the touch,
multi-touch,
multi-touch, and that interface and everything. Is that related at all to the Xerox thing? Because I remember you talking about.
But I'll connect that dot for you real quick.
Yeah.
Xerox essentially invented the mouse and the graphical user interface, the GUI. What we think of as when we look at a computer, I see my desktop, I see the folders, I see files. That whole concept was basically invented by Park Xerox. And Jobs, legend says Jobs saw it, as well as the mouse to interact with the GUI. So you can look at things and point and click. And allegedly, it was to run their copy machines and stuff. Right. And allegedly, Jobs saw it and was like, "Do you guys get what you have here? If you're not going to run with it, I am." And Apple led a lot of the way in spreading the GUI worldwide.
Yeah. And part of what I actually came across, Xerox actually tried to sue them when they took it away, and the whole ruling hinged on Xerox never patented it; they only copyrighted the information, the whole thing, and so that was how that case settled out, and why Apple was able to claim it.
So now Apple's trying not. So in a way, you could see Apple trying not to repeat the mistakes of Xerox.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's some weird grace matter to figure out. But
Sure.
I was looking up the multi-touch patent, and I want to point out that there's an additional clause to the patent that says this invention can provide for a 3, 4, and 5-dimensional touchscreen tablet. So they're ready just in case we figure out how to do a 5-dimensional computer.
Wow.
They have the patent on human interacting with it.
Wow.
I get the 3D though.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Because that's Power Glove and what was the Portal system where you hold up the iPad and...
Oh, yeah. You think I'd remember because I'm the one that brought it up.
Yes, that's why I asked.
Yeah, I don't. I'd have to go back and listen to the show.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
So, but then what would fourth dimensional and fifth dimensional be? Explain it to me. Fourth dimension, I think I
is
get.
time, usually.
Right. But fifth? What does that
argue
mean?
with you on
That's the standard definition of the fourth dimension is time. Where I always argue that time ought to be the first dimension. Because a line can exist without depth. A point can exist without width. But a point can't exist without time. So if they're cumulative onto each other, you think a point can exist without time?
Yes, I do.
So if it exists for 0 time, it exists?
Yes.
Explain.
Because I don't think we understand time yet.
Oh, sure. Well, it's timey-wimey, wobbly bits. But...
So then, okay, so fourth dimensional is it anticipates where you're going to touch it?
Don't know. They just
No. Those are dates gone awry.
they've just claimed it.
Where do you want me to double click? Where do you want me to tap?
Well, let's get out of Craigslist now and let's
Okay.
get back onto our patent discussion.
Wait, no, what's the fifth one? I want to
They
know.
don't explain any
They
of the
just
dimensions. They just
say it.
claim them.
God.
If we figure out a fourth dimension, they already have the rights to it.
Right.
If we figure out a fifth dimension after that, they already have the rights to it.
If you are looking for something fun to Google in matters of the fourth dimension, look up animations for rotating hypercubes and my favorite, a rotating hypertorus. I forget how you spell torus, the shape. T-O-R...
Cold nights, I like to cuddle up with a warm rotating torus.
Have you driven a Ford lately? Patented. Model Ts. Boop, boop. All right, we're digressing.
Yeah, a little bit. But basically, going back to patents, they said that the design patents, which are kind of at the core of Apple's argument, they said generally are weaker patents. They said typically there's not as much...
They can't do as many push-ups.
Right. They have no upper body strength. But they said typically there's not as much information you need to back it up before you propose these type of ones. They said typically they don't last as long as typically patents, when you put them in, last for 20 years. That's sort of the standard time, unless you go in for some type of renewal. But they said typically design patents don't last for as long as the utility and technology ones, which would go for 20 years. And again, they said part of the argument why they think they keep that so loose. And again, we are talking, this is the patents we're talking about are uniquely American. This is U.S. patents. They said typically anywhere else in the world, there's a much more stringent criteria before you're allowed to register anything, which is, again, why it's kind of rampant in our country that people will patent, upcoming fifth dimensional touchscreen interfaces, blah, 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 blah. Whereas in most other countries, when Apple and Samsung have put in for these things, the governments of these other countries have shut them down and said, no, this is frivolous. This is not something you can patent or even apply to patent.
Frivolous is a wonderful word that needs to re-enter dialogue in this culture.
Yeah. And again, so that's coming back to earlier I was talking about why a lot of people are saying that there needs to be patent application reform in this country because it has become so big and ridiculous that basically going back to the only people that can really get any use out of applying for patents are big corporations that have lots of money and lots of lawyers behind them to go through the years and years of litigation and processes.
And stomping anyone else who thinks of trying to
Right,
complain.
which then comes back to it defeats the whole purpose of why patents were originally put into the Constitution. This
to
is
protect
something
innovation.
Innovation, right. And they said it completely reverses that. It's a 180.
Oh, the I word practically belongs to Apple, though, if you ask them.
They patented innovation.
Innovation, yep.
It's like Trump trying to trademark "you're fired."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
So, if you have a crazy frivolous patent,
I
send
have
it to.
several.
I want to
Let
hear
me-
these. I was
okay.
excited.
So I have found
Play the patent game.
the patent game, and I've tried to find. Oh, sorry about that. A variety of things, and I wanted to start with things that are sort of in that Apple mentality of unreasonable patenture.
Don't you call me unreasonable.
So here I have a patent for a method of swinging on a swing. This is a method of swing on a swing in which a user positioned on a standard swing suspended by two chains from a substantially horizontal tree branch induces side-to-side motion by pulling alternatively on one chain and then the other.
Oh my God, I used to
Did
do
you
that
do
in the
this in the
playground.
playground?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Am I in violation of a patent?
You were not. Because this ridiculous attempt to patent a basic activity, which was a successful patent, by the way. This is not like a patent application. This is a patent. Was actually filed in 2000 and issued in 2002. So after years of children swinging sideways, this man was able to successfully patent a method of swinging
You
on
think
a
he
swing.
just did it because he could?
I guess so, but technically now if you were to sit on a swing and pull side to side on a chain, you could be sued.
We're going to the playground after this, gents.
Wow.
Civil disobedience.
Yeah.
Stand up.
Yeah.
Everybody, I want you to.
Well, I think we've just figured out why obesity is so rampant in America. No, we're afraid to use playground
It's true.
equipment.
It's
because
true.
it
It's a
costs.
suable
Yeah.
condition. Here is a patent for an animal toy, potentially made of wood, used for a dog to fetch, with a long main section and at least one protrusion. That's right. He has patented the stick.
Oh my God.
Now, he has all of these justifications on, well, you could do this to it and you could do that to it. But at the base of his patent, he has successfully claimed a patent on a stick as a dog toy.
What
If
year?
you have ever thrown a branch or a stick for a dog since 2002, you have violated this patent.
2002 is a terrible year for patents. I want to know who was in charge then, who was approving these
but
things.
this-
Einstein was a patent clerk.
His
He would not
fi-
have let this go.
His filing date was 1999, and it took to 2002 for the stick to acquire it.
So then really it's 2000.
The average was 3 years. But you remember, you start to see all of those commercials, those little infomercials that talk about how they help you patent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Send in your information. Think about when those first started airing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Air the blame.
So those were some of the ones I
bomb.
found that were successfully granted patents on unreasonably specific, basic things that one should not be able to claim as one own.
What could we patent?
Almost
bet-
anything, apparently.
I bet it's all taken now.
I wonder if podcasting with 3 microphones and a Zoom
Oh, no.
recorder-
You're going to bring Apple into this. No.
They're going to hurt us.
They will.
I will take them on, along with Scott Adams and whoever else I have claimed a rivalry with on this podcast.
The opinions of Aaron Gottlieb do not necessarily represent those of Adam Montek, Jeff Holbrook, or Polar Studios.
Maybe we could patent podcasting in a deep purple room.
I
with
like
a
it.
potentially explosive piano to add emphasis
Yeah.
to
There we
the
go.
speed of the
There's
podcast.
now danger. This podcast could end at any moment.
Man, imagine the sound.
If you hear a cacophony, yeah, of 88 keys on a piano playing at the same time, you know that we are dead.
It's like El Kabong in the extreme version of itself.
Oh, golly. I like that danger element we just added to the podcast. Here, I can tell you one patent that I came across. This one might stimulate interesting conversation. We're going to see.
We accept
As
your
opposed to
challenge.
the last 40 minutes. So in 1930, there was a magician named Horace Golden who patented the magic trick that he was known for. Like, he apparently was really good at sawing a woman in half. Like, it was what he was known for. Like, you came and that was his big finish, and apparently the way he did it, people couldn't figure out for years and years.
Because he actually cut her in half.
It's always got a new assistant, though.
Yeah,
I don't
tell
know.
me.
But he patented it. He patented the magic trick in the 1930s.
Didn't he have to reveal how it was
Yeah.
done to patent it?
Yes, he did.
But aren't patents public? Not.
I don't know how he got around it, or
Okay.
if he cared. Like, maybe he didn't patent it until he was older and he felt he had gotten all the use he could out of the trick.
Right.
But that was, I won't say the first frivolous patent, but one of the first one that started to go into this area of more intellectual property as
Yeah.
opposed to an actual apparatus that performed a specific function.
I don't know. I think a really well executed illusion is potentially claimable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's obviously claimable, but I don't feel like
It's a
that's
process, a method of doing something. Although it is, I mean, I do agree it's intellectual property as well.
How did he cut his?
And I could see him needing to protect it. If
I
you
don't
were
know. I didn't
working.
research too deep as to, but
The
it was
actual
just,
patent?
Oh.
Yeah, it was
Well, let's
just
just experiment around and see if we can, figure. I got a handsaw.
Duplicate.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't dig too deep. I just, a couple of places.
Oh.
I'm hitting something. But it just a lot of different sites cited it as one of the first patents that started to get into this area of starting to patent intellectual property.
Personal things rather
Yeah.
than things that people are going to want to
Yeah.
rip off. Well, I found a fun little website that I want to share with us and the listeners. TotallyAbsurd.com, which is a list of ridiculous patents. Rather than specifically, patenting the stick or how to swing on a swing, this is the ones that are technically an idea and a product. They're just not necessarily a good idea.
Right.
or
Are you saying
Right.
these are rejected or
no, these are all totally accepted, but nobody ever made money off of them because they
gotcha.
turned out to be useless and bad ideas.
Gotcha. Okay.
And I'm going to start with a patent issued in 1998. This is the baby cage.
Oh, I like this one.
I like your presentation of it
yeah.
too. The baby cage.
The baby cage.
Wow.
You're welcome.
This is
wow.
basically a half spheroid cage that you put on your bed. So, like when the baby is sleeping on the bed with you, you cover it with this half shell cage
Have a complex.
so that you don't roll over on it and crush it in the bed. This allows the baby to sleep with mommy and daddy, but
Not
totally safely.
I want to see it like descend on the baby like the cage and mouse trap in the game. Flip the man in the band and then boom, baby.
And one of the fun things about this website is, as you know, with a patent application, you have to have a graphical depiction of whatever you've submitted.
Is it a picture of like a baby holding the bars of the cage with a single tear running down its?
A little tin bottle.
Oh my God! All right,
Wait, what?
let me describe what this looks like. It looks
You get
like
the next
somebody
one, Jeff.
took a sled, like the frame of a sled, and just
Like a saucer sled.
a saucer sled, and just put it over a baby. or like a roasting rack that somebody turned upside down and put it over top of a baby.
Yeah, and that's that's the entire patent and the invention. It's an upside down crib on your bed so you don't crush your baby.
How did they think they came to that idea? It was like
probably
laying in bed,
almost
like,
crushed their
I'm
baby.
so nervous. We're
You know
going
what
to
I
crush
think
this
they did?
baby.
In a moment of panic, one night, they flipped over a clothes basket.
Yeah,
One with
Yeah,
holes in
that's
it,
what it
yeah.
looks like.
And
Yeah.
they were like, this is a great idea, but people are going to freak out putting
That I'm
babies
putting
in a clothes basket. So let's create a unique device.
The baby hamper is not selling. I don't know why.
A medieval torture device and
called the baby cage.
cage and put it on our children.
All right,
That's where all babies should be, in
the
cages.
next one. The next one I've selected is the Pantyhose 3X.
Okay.
This is a 1997 patent.
Can we guess what it is?
Sure.
All right. The Pantyhose 3X. Okay, this is, this feels like that old game show, The Liars Club, with a hand to the object.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
here's what it is, okay? Pantyhose get more expensive the larger sizes that you buy.
Okay. All right.
It's more material.
Sure.
And so this is a device that you can buy the smaller sizes and put them on to this Pantyhose 3X, and preferably after you wash them, hand washed with
Right.
a light detergent in
Yeah,
the sink.
yeah. Of course.
And you put it on the Pantyhose 3X, and it will stretch them out to a larger size so that you get the benefit of the larger size while still paying for the cheaper, smaller product.
So it basically Grinch hearts a pair of pantyhose until they can be worn.
It grew 3 sizes that day.
Oh my gosh. Well, that's actually that's interesting. But actually, what it is, it's actually what you would basically call a 3-legged pantyhose, and it's actually geared towards a male demographic for those that were greatly gifted by God.
All right. Jeff wins the point. He's not right, but he wins the point. Pantyhose 3X is a 3-legged pair of pantyhose with a pocket in each of the potential crotches. So,
Potential crotch.
Okay.
so you can wear them. You get a run in your stocking. You go in the bathroom. You change out leg 1 for leg 3 and roll it up and put it in the pocket again.
Oh.
And you wear
That's
your new
smart.
pantyhose.
That does make sense.
And
So it's a set of 3-legged
is.
pantyhose.
Oh my gosh.
a bonus if you're that man with
If
that
you're
problem.
a bonus, if you're that man.
Well
and then
done,
you
Jeff.
have your
Yeah, thank you.
superhero costume.
I like this game.
All right, let's do.
I think we got time for one.
We get another.
Then I got to pick a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about that one, but it wouldn't do well for the game. Give me
Oh,
one more
okay.
second.
Okay.
The toilet snorkel. The name of the patent is the toilet snorkel. It was patented in 1982 as your helping. I don't know. As your clue.
That gives me a good frame of reference.
So, Jeff,
Yeah.
you get to go first this time. What is
All
a
right.
toilet snorkel?
Okay. All right. I feel like Paula Poundstone again.
Wait, don't tell me. I know what a toilet snorkel is.
I would have to say that I'm going to go with the obvious. I'm going to say that it's goggles and a snorkel set designed to go around the head, and rather than poke out the side, it wraps all the way around the head and pokes straight out the back so that you can easily dunk your head into the toilet so that you can really get in there and clean it without the snorkel being on the side hitting the lid all the time.
Sure,
Hitting
that
the
would be
seat all the time. It gets right in the back so that it, you've got freedom of mobility.
So just a snorkel to breathe in the toilet.
Well, no,
Not
I'm not
just.
just a snorkel. I mean, especially, angled and crafted for a singular purpose snorkel.
Okay.
Okay. I was racking my brain. Okay, a toilet snorkel?
Toilet snorkel.
Toilet snorkel, okay. This was for an experimental toilet that they were building in submarines. And what it is you go into the facilities, and this device comes down, and like a snorkel, goggles and this piece that feeds into your mouth and goes up so that you can breathe clean air. And as soon as you are in the facilities, they immediately fill up with water. And then you do your business like a fish in an aquarium.
Oh, God.
And the snorkel is there so that you don't choke on your own excrement, I guess.
Swim along with the snorks.
Yeah. And then the water drains out, and easy peasy.
Peasy.
Easy.
Emphasis on the easy.
Easy. That's a toilet.
Yep.
All right.
Who gets the point?
A toilet snorkel. A toilet snorkel is a device patented to save your life in a high-rise apartment fire. You can, you put the snorkel, you snake it through to the U-bend of the toilet, past the water level, and you can breathe the fresh air in the pipes so that you don't choke on the smoke in a high-rise fire.
Fresh air.
Well,
I have to give Adam the
non-smoky
point
air.
on that one then, I think.
Yeah, because mine was about
Breathing,
fresh air
staying
when a
alive.
catastrophe is
Mine
going
was
on
about
around
house
you.
cleaning. Yeah.
so
I'd give
you
Adam the
can-
point on
I
that
did
one.
start out trying to figure out how to incorporate the snorks. I
Did too. That's the
Yeah.
first place I went to, and I said, I
I was going to
can't.
have them like a product that you dropped into the tank of the toilet, and they would scrub it while you were away at work.
I gotta get me one of those.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
Hey.
Sorry, you got a purple recording studio.
Aw.
Yeah. No.
Poop along with the snorks.
All right. So check out totallyabsurd.com. It's got a whole list of patents from the bird-powered blimp to the pants pointer, the tree tugger.
I have some ideas what the pants pointer might be.
Et cetera, et cetera. So there have been some and all of the things listed on the website have successfully acquired their patent.
Cool beans.
Well, there you go. And I suppose you can go check them out now because we're going to send you on your merry way and do some sign-offs.
What have we learned this episode?
I have learned that I'm still on TV online. That's what I've learned. That's what I've learned.
Not based on this conversation, but he learned it.
I did learn it.
Well, good.
I've learned that I'm in violation of several patents.
I have learned that I'm quite angry at Apple and Samsung for playing out all this patent stuff in a federal court and wasting taxpayers' money.
That's true.
I want the end result to somehow be that they have to pay back all of the costs involved. Of course, then that would just bite us in the butt. 'Cause
Yeah,
then
they
would
just
get passed
charge
on
us
to
more.
us. But
But then we just don't buy Samsung or Apple products.
that's an easy choice, right?
Yeah, I do it.
Well, yeah, you're smarter than me.
Don't play the
Don't
exploding
play the dead
piano.
piano. Oh, edge of our seat. Edge of our seat.
We are willing,
I've also learned the future is uncertain and could go at any moment.
especially if you play the exploding piano.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. Oh, wow.